I opened the blue container in my storage shed with the light switched off. It was the way you'd open something that has the power to alter your entire world. Inside rested a mobile device. Its screen was aged, heavy and lifeless. It vibrated once, sounding like a bated breath finally released. I stood there, catching the faint ticking of the cooling engine from my pickup truck. My heart was racing, matching the seconds ticking on the phone's display. A solitary alert appeared. JPL in. At that moment, I didn't grasp what kind of evening lay ahead of me. I only knew that a total stranger at service had picked me. Not my girl, not her spouse, just me. The melody of the hymn was still echoing in my mind when I hit play. Earlier that day, the chapel smelled of fresh wax and old coffee. My daughter's hand was on my arm, gentle and full of trust. My son-in-law was singing far too loud, eyes shut, his chin raised like a man pleading for mercy. That was when the lady appeared in the walkway. A grey overcoat, a navy scarf, no prayer book, no grin. She didn't look toward the altar. She stared directly at me. As the final music notes faded, she slid into the bench behind us. Her fingers grazed my hand. The blue box appeared almost like a sleight of hand. "You'll require this tonight, sir," she mouthed. I turned around, but she was already disappearing into the crowd and the polite clapping. No one else saw a thing. That's the part that still gives me shivers. How the hidden truth can be so invisible when it chooses to be. I tucked the box into my jacket, like illegal goods, and managed a smile through the closing prayer. I had raised my daughter on my own. Her mom had departed early and quietly, much like a storm does once it's finished destroying everything. I taught myself how to style hair, how to cook breakfast, and how to remain firm when life gets shaky. I trusted with caution and loved with purpose. When she first brought him to the house, he gripped my hand too hard, trying too much to impress. He called me sir constantly and praised my discipline. Men who flatter parents usually have a motive. Even so, I watched him make her beam. I saw him help with the bags. I watched him drop to one knee with a ring he couldn't truly pay for. I convinced myself, love fills the gaps that money can't. That was my primary error. The warnings were tiny at first. A missed dinner, a long stare at his screen, cash withdrawals that didn't add up. I noticed how he spoke rapidly whenever I asked about his job. The way he grew rigid when my daughter brought up their savings, and how she would protect him before I even made a claim. I never shouted. I never made a move without evidence. I tucked that suspicion away like a hidden weapon. By the time that gut feeling started keeping me awake at night, it finally had a name: betrayal. The phone from that blue box opened without a password. A lone folder was waiting. The first video buffered slowly, the loading icon spinning like a coin waiting to land. Then his face appeared on the display. My son-in-law, shirtless and laughing, not that timid laugh he used with me. This was bold and arrogant. The woman behind the lens said his name, the way my daughter used to, with total devotion. The date on the screen showed last Tuesday, while my daughter was working extra hours and he was supposedly finishing late at the office. I didn't flinch. I didn't curse. I didn't even sit down. I viewed every second of it. There were more records, bank files, voice clips and chats. He wasn't just being unfaithful. He was draining us dry. A fake company. Debt taken out in my daughter's name. My own thumbprint or signature faked on papers I'd never seen. Our home, the one I had paid off years ago, was being used as insurance for his lies. I felt something sharp snap into place. Pain is hot, but planning is cold. I listened to a recording of him, mocking me, talking about how old men never double-check their documents, and how religious folks are easy targets. I closed my eyes and remembered his face during the songs that morning. I grinned. I didn't confront him right away. That's what men do when they want a quick release. I wanted a total resolution. I made a plan. I called in some favors. I gathered copies of everything quietly. I let him keep believing his act was perfect. I invited them over for a meal. Sunday roast, his top choice. I told my daughter we'd pray together afterward. He relaxed. Predators always do when they think the trap is far away. The lady from the chapel called at sunset. "You understand now," she stated. "I do," I replied. "He destroyed my sister," she said. "She didn't make it through." I let the silence do the talking. "Finish it cleanly," she whispered. "I will." The line cut off. Dinner was pleasant. That was the toughest part. He told jokes. He poured the wine. He kissed my daughter's forehead like a sacred vow. I watched his hands. They never stopped fidgeting. Crooks get restless when they feel observed, even if they don't know why. After the meal, I stood up. "I have something to show you both," I said. I linked the phone to the big screen. The room was filled with his voice before his face even showed up. My daughter's silverware hit the floor. Her breath stopped. The color left her face like water draining away. He jumped up too quickly. "This isn't—" I raised my hand for silence. The footage played. The bank logs followed. The forged names, the insults. Every file felt like a judge's hammer. He tried being angry, then he tried lying, then he started sobbing. He reached for my daughter, but she pulled away. That's when the knock at the door came. 2 officers and a woman in a formal suit holding a folder, thick enough to end a man's freedom. I had timed it perfectly. The official read the charges. The police watched him without a word. He collapsed into his chair, as if the weight of the world had finally hit him. When they put the cuffs on, he looked at me and whispered, "How?" I leaned in close just for him. "You were never in tune with the music," I said. The house was silent after they took him, a silence like fresh snow. My daughter sobbed until she had no tears left. I held her just like I did when she was small, steadying her. The lady from the church never reached out again. She didn't have to. Some people are just there to hand you the match. In the following days, accounts were locked. The paperwork was fixed. Our home was secure. His name vanished from our lives like a bad memory. I still go to the same service. I sit in the same spot. I sing the same songs. I watch people bow their heads and hide their secrets. I learned a vital lesson that night. Vengeance doesn't need to be loud. Justice doesn't need to scream. True power doesn't need a crowd. Sometimes it arrives in a small blue box, handed over quietly in a holy place to a man who knows how to wait. And when that moment comes, you don't hesitate. You press play.